This Bound for Glory review was brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Try it, and TNA will stop screwing around and give the tag team titles to Bad Influence for the love of God! Oftentimes in wrestling, you'll have a pay-per-view card that has crappy build-up and doesn't look like anything special on paper, but then over-delivers and ends up really good. Other times, you might have a show that has great build-up and looks like a slam dunk on paper, but then you see it and it completely tanks for whatever reason. The real trick is in the execution, apparently. In the case of Bound for Glory, the show had very underwhelming build-up, but a pretty decent-looking card. So, what kind of show did it turn out to be? Well, let me answer that question with a question. Look at this face. Does this look like happiness to you? Does it look like I just watched the biggest pay-per-view of the year? Look, I know there have been creative shakeups and backstage shenanigans, and plans for this show probably changed more than once. I understand that this was most likely not their first choice for a BFG card, maybe not even their second or third choice. But I've been mulling this over since Sunday night, and there's one question that keeps rattling around in my brain over and over and over again. Was that really the best that you could do, TNA? Because if that was your best, if what I saw Sunday night on Bound for Glory 2013, supposedly your biggest show when you pull out all the stops, was your very best effort, then I am gravely concerned. My initial thought watching this pre-show match was, good lord, the bromance are not over at all. When even Los Stereotypicos are getting more heat than you, that is a sign that you need to stop whatever the hell you're doing and go back to the drawing board. So, naturally, the bromance win the match. Even though practically everyone and their brother was rooting for Bad Influence. Even though Bad Influence were the logical choice, the obvious choice, the best choice by a country mile, because they're the best team in the ring, the best team on the mic, the most entertaining team, the most prominently featured team on your show. But no. Now, we're going to give the nod to a team comprised of a guy who hasn't won a match in a year, and a guy who I don't think has won a match, period. A team that we've gone out of our way to portray as the biggest losers imaginable since the day they became a team. Because final hype like that, that's what's going to get people to buy this pay-per-view, right? Right?
Oh my God, he's gonna puke! He's gonna puke! He's gonna puke!
You would think that with TNA marketing this Ultimate X as an all-star match, that they would want it to seem like a very big, important match. Especially with this chatter that TNA are looking to make the X Division a more established mid-card division, secondary to the world title. You would think. Unfortunately, that kind of goes out the window when you once again put the X Division in the curtain jerker spot at 8 p.m. Just saying. A true secondary mid-card division match would get a higher spot on the card, but it seems that, once again, nothing has really changed as far as that goes. This was a good match, not a great match. Probably a little disappointing when you think about the guys in there. As I expected and explained in the predictions blog on TNA Asylum, the addition of Jeff Hardy wasn't as big a deal as they tried to make it seem. Hardy's been wrestling a much safer style in the last few years, so he really didn't do anything out of the ordinary here. In fact, no one did. It was like many of the recent Ultimate X's, more grounded, none of the insane spots that we saw in the past. It wasn't bad at all, it just fell short of blowing the roof off. And I have a bone to pick here. I seem to recall there being some code of honor, an unwritten rule in the X Division that everyone abided by about not using a ladder in an Ultimate X match. Once upon a time, Team 3D used a ladder to win an Ultimate X. And it was like sacrilege back then. They were huge heels because they used the ladder. But here, Jeff Hardy breaks out a ladder and nobody says a word about it. Why? Well, we know why, because he's fucking Jeff Hardy. I didn't like this part. Because when you use the ladder, what happens? It becomes a ladder match. The Ultimate X is special because it's different from the ladder match. If you're going to use the ladder, so be it. But it damn well better be because you're a heel. So I was glad when Hardy didn't win that way. Now, Saban going over was surprising, considering how they've booked him recently. I'm cool with it, but had it been up to me, I would have kept the belt on Manic, because he had a lot more to gain by winning this match than anyone else did. But this looks to put over Saban's heel character more, so that's fine with me. The finish wasn't bad so much as kind of underwhelming, though I imagine they'll use this to further this angle with Velvet Sky now. Then we had our first kill time because we only booked 6 matches segment. Bad Influence come out and make a case for why they should be in the tag team title match despite losing the #1 contenders match on the pre-show, and give all the reasons why. And note to the writers, when the heels are making great points that you really can't argue against, you may have slipped up somewhere. We're not supposed to be agreeing with these guys, but they made their case, and I said to myself, that makes perfect sense. They should be in the tag title match. If Gail Kim can get into a title match without doing anything, then why can't the best fucking tag team in this company? Eric Young comes out and introduces Abyss because they busted open Joseph Park on the pre-show. It was nice to see Abyss again, that was a cool little Easter egg, but this really didn't need a whole separate segment devoted to it. Gunstorm versus the Bromance for the Tag Team Championships. This match was ridiculous. Dull. Stalled in first gear like all Robbie's matches do. Zero heat for the heels unless you count the X-Pac heat they got at the end. And they've been such a pathetic joke for so long that all they did was drag Storm and Gunner down to their level. You're telling me that freaking ODB can kick the Bromance's asses with ease, but the tag team champions can't, when everything that's come before tells us that they should have just plowed right through them? Are you kidding me? So Robbie and Jesse go from being the biggest jobbers on the roster to the tag team champions just like that? That's ludicrous. It felt terrible for James Storm and Gunner. This was embarrassing. In the second kill time segment of the night, Kurt Angle actually declines his Hall of Fame induction. I do appreciate his reasons why if that was a shoot. If it was a work, that's fine, but this also felt like something that didn't need so much time devoted to it. And it felt like a big mistake to bring Sting out there early and waste the big pop before his match with Magnus. Look, we knew what we were getting with the Knockouts title match. The women worked hard, and it was a pretty decent, if unspectacular match. But no one in the crowd cared, and they had no reason to. This was just an excuse to get some bodies lined up so Lady Tapa could mow them down, and everyone knew it. We knew nothing important would happen until Tapa came out. When she did, it got interesting, though. She took out ODB, took out Brooke, in a pretty impressive spot, actually. And then she helps Gail win the match, and we find out that they were in cahoots the whole time.
Say what?
That was a shocker. I did not see that coming. And I think it was a very good idea. Tapa is really green still, so her being rushed to the title didn't appeal to me. And having her be like Gail's bodyguard or something in a supporting role for a while is a good way to hide her weaknesses until she gets her feet wet. The only problem is, now Gail has 0 fresh opponents. So we damn well better see another new Knockout debut, and soon. Candice LeRae or Mia Yim or Veda Scott or the Blossom Twins or someone. Because if I have to watch Gail work one more goddamn match with ODB, well, you get the idea. Kurt Angle versus Bobby Roode. Now we're talking. This is the match they should have had last time. An excellent match. And in another legit shocker, Roode actually got the win. Did not see that one coming either. With Angle going in the Hall of Fame, I never thought that would happen. But no, now Roode goes over clean. Minus a little weirdness with the referee, but that didn't look crooked or anything, more like Roode just got lucky. So I guess they're taking Angle's recent troubles and turning that into a road to redemption type of thing? That sounds fine with me. And good for TNA not getting blinded by those Hall of Fame lights and knowing that Roode would benefit a lot more from this win than Angle would.
Yes!
You know, When I said that I hoped TNA would have something really huge planned for Ethan Carter III to justify him debuting at Bound for Glory with minimal build-up, him squashing a local jobber was not what I had in mind. But yeah, I get it. He's Dixie's nephew, so she feeds him some ham and egg he can beat no problem. Ha ha ha. But that's it? That was all you had? This could have been done on Impact, guys. And if it had, I would have been fine with it. But if you didn't have anything more interesting for him to do than beating up Norv Furman, or Furno, or Furmy, or Furnum, or whatever the fuck his name was, then why is this on the Bound for Glory card? Oh, right, because you needed to kill more time so you could fill 3 hours. How stupid of me. I'll say this. EC3 has a cool entrance, pretty good music, and a nice finishing move, so he's got that going. I am behind this character. I think it has real potential. But maybe you think about getting him over with the fans before putting him out there on your biggest show to work a filler squash match. I mean, hell, I read a live report after the show that said fans were leaving the arena during this match because they didn't know who this guy was. Or worse, didn't care. Now, I'm no expert or anything. I'm not in the business, so obviously I have no idea what I'm talking about, but if I had to guess, I would say that this might mean that you didn't build this character up well enough. Am I wrong? Am I just way off base about any of this? Magnus versus Sting really made me hate this crowd. They wouldn't rally behind Magnus, they didn't even seem to care about Sting, or the match for that matter. And that's a damn shame because they were trying. They were telling a story with Magnus using Sting's moves and mannerisms and stuff, but the crowd was pretty lifeless by this point. And we knew this wasn't going to be a great match going in, okay? We knew that. The most important thing to take away from it is that Magnus won the match clean, and he did it as a babyface. I mean, yeah, he was cocky and heelish afterward, but that's beside the point. He won the way he needed to win. Not only that, but he made Sting tap out, which I can't believe they didn't make a bigger deal out of. Don't even get me started on that. Unfortunately, at 11 minutes and change, the match was way too short and really just not very good. Because Sting, in his mid-50s, is past the point where he can make someone with a great match. That ship has sailed. There's a lot of mixed feelings here because they had the right idea, using Sting to give a rising star the big rub. But they should have done this with Sting a long time ago, when he could perform better and when it would have meant a lot more. This didn't feel like passing the torch. This felt like Sting held onto the torch for so long that it burned out before he could pass it. So it was the right outcome, but I have to question how effective the payoff was. Dixie Carter made Bully Ray versus AJ Styles for the world title a no DQ match via Twitter. Huh. You know, that seems like something that maybe should have been announced on Impact. But it wasn't. I don't know why. This was pretty much in line with a lot of the main events we got during Bully Ray's title reign, in that there were some brutal spots, good storytelling, good psychology, but generally it was very slow-paced, and this time I just lost patience with that approach. If ever there was a time to hit the afterburners and go balls to the wall for 20 minutes, this was it. But no. Now, Bully was being very slow and methodical like he usually is, and it was interesting because he's such a good heel. But it just wasn't that exciting, aside from the stuff AJ was doing. Speaking of which, springboard 450 splash to the floor, through a table. Holy shit. That was amazing. With the stipulation, you knew there was going to be interference. Nux and Garrett interfere on behalf of Bully, so all those countless segments of teasing dissension between Bully Ray and the Meat Shields were red herrings, apparently. So thanks for wasting all that TV time for nothing, TNA. And the interference turned out to be completely inconsequential, so I don't know why they even bothered with this. Just keep those clowns off the show, because it's the exact same goddamn outcome whether they interfere or not. Ultimately, this was a good, methodical, slow-paced match that told a story, when I was hoping for a fast-paced, exciting match that told a story. So I guess your enjoyment kind of depends on what you were looking for out of this. AJ wins the title. Thank you. And if this godforsaken Aces of Eights angle isn't dead now, I am going to put a sledgehammer through my TV screen.
You guys suck.
This was not a good Bound for Glory. Some matches were good. One match was great, arguably two, but it really suffered from a lack of build-up. There was way too much filler. Generally, they just didn't bring their A game, and the fact that Bad Influence did not even get a match on the main card is a freaking travesty. This show fell flat. This felt like a 3-hour Impact. In fact, looking back on all the pay-per-views and pay-per-view themed impacts TNA has done this year, Bound for Glory ranks near the bottom, if not the very bottom. What do you want from me? Do you want me to lie? Do you want me to say that something's great when it's not? I can't do that. This was not nearly good enough, plain and simple. But I would like to single out one person before I end this video. Kurt Angle. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you for the class that you showed here, checking your ego at the door, so to speak, and putting over Bobby Roode like you did. Not many veterans in your shoes would have done that, but Kurt understood that just because you get a Hall of Fame induction, it doesn't mean that you should get a swelled head about it, think you're bigger than you really are, or that you can do things that you really shouldn't be doing. Kurt showed true class and understood that, unlike a certain other Hall of Famer I could mention. And for that, Mr. Angle, I salute... Well, well. Back for round 2, eh? Smokey, this is embarrassing. I mean, this really has become a joke. I know you're being inducted into the OTRS Hall of Fame, but that changes nothing. If you really think that you being a Hall of Famer now is suddenly going to make you a match for me after I left you lying in a pool of your own blood and piss last time, then I feel sorry for you. No. I pity you. All right. So be it. If you really want to do this again that badly, I suppose I can hand you your ass one more time. If you want to bring it, then by all means, bring it!
Hashtag deuces and four.
I feel better. Quit your whining and go back to your girlfriend's summer. Bitch.